because, if a person's back isn't bad enough, you should have to lean over this frail little engine cover to reach and get back to the starter that's over here where, like Helen Keller, she'd ace this.
Well, Brendan and I are now living the authentic Fiat experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's your initiation to owning a classic Italian car. You're broken down on the side of the road.
It's the first time a classic car has actually broken down on me. And yeah, we're stuck on the side of the highway. I think maybe it just overheated because we were running it for like 20 minutes full throttle. Probably my fault. So we're gonna let it cool down here for another 5 minutes or so, and then we're gonna try to keep going on a route.
Fingers crossed it's okay.
All right, well, this really sucks, although it's probably not unexpected. This is our brand new to us Fiat 500, one of my all-time dream cars. We just bought this little car for $16,000 and it immediately broke down. Here's what happened. So I was doing this video with Brendan and the little car ran perfectly, and you can check out the video over at TFL Classics. And then on the way to putting it away over at the ranch, which is about 35 minutes north of here, I was cruising down the highway doing about 51 miles an hour, not quite maxed out, just kind of cruising along in a little Fiat. And then it started to feel like we were going up a hill where like the power started to die, and then it just kind of cut out altogether. And now it won't restart. So it'll kind of, try to restart, but it won't actually start. So what we're gonna do is take this little Fiat to our mechanic Ted's, who's a British car mechanic, but I've convinced him to take a look at the little 500, and hopefully he'll be able to get it fixed. And by the way, the fastest you'll ever go in a Fiat is being towed behind a Ram 2500 Cummins. And kind of the funny thing about this situation, right, is that Fiat and Ram part of the same company. Now you've got the huge Ram towing this little tiny 1,000-pound Fiat. All right, let's hit the road. I'm so unbelievably bummed out that this little Fiat broke. Now, at TFL, we kind of do this thing where we buy these affordable classics and then hold on to them for a number of months, live with them, and then sell them on once the series is over. And I've been driving classics for a bunch of years now, and I've never actually been stranded on the side of the road until we bought our very first Italian car, which is this 1971 Fiat 500. And then within 20 miles of buying it, the engine cuts out. I just think that's so classic and so iconic to the Italian reputation. The great thing is though, when your car only weighs is only the size of a biscuit, look at this. Fantastic, right?
I remember a time when we wouldn't let Italian stuff in the area.
You really shouldn't still, Ted.
That whole Allies thing was a bad name on my part.
It was a good name.
It's the Axis part that screwed me, yeah.
You see, here's the thing. Not a lot of people I know work on two-cylinder air-cooled engines. And Ted doesn't really, but I pay him money, so he does sometimes.
And I fake it because I have no conscience. Yeah. I also have no ability to say no. Actually, Tommy, this is really cool.
You actually like it?
It's really cool.
Oh, good.
It looks nice. I mean, if I have to have a nightmare, at least it's not going to be a greasy nightmare.
Yeah, it's not too greasy, right?
No. Tommy, I hate to say anything nice, but this really is cool.
All right, well, it's been a couple of weeks and I just got the phone call from Ted that the little Fiat is fixed, and Andre's going to help me out today.
Yeah, what do you need, Tommy?
Well, we got to go pick it up from the shop. I mean, yes, it does run, but it's a Fiat, so I don't know how much longer it'll run.
I have another Fiat. No, actually I don't. I have a 2022 Ram 1500 Classic truck, a shorty, Stubbs. We call them Stubbs.
And the biggest Aluma trailer I have ever seen. You could run a successful bowling alley down this trailer on.
No, I was thinking we could put like 3 of your Fiats.
Yeah, it's gonna start here and end here. Everybody, check it out. We are back here at Axe and Allies, and Ted and the magician Hayden have fixed the Fiat 500. It was something easy, right? Like a distributor cap?
Yeah, it was just like this little wire fell off, No, never again on Italian cars.
So Ted works primarily on British cars, and I convinced him to take the Fiat because there's 3 bolts, but all 3 bolts were broken.
And they broke over and over again on my watch. You go make the normal checks, right? Turn the engine over, check the timing, see if it has spark, see if it has fuel, car repair 101, because we're professionals. And the The starter was so dead and slow. Took it apart, cleaned the armature, cleaned the brushes, and found that the bushings were worn out enough that you could side load. Is this actually interesting?
Yeah,
We're
it
talking
is.
About this kind of shit?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. We're actually side loaded, and so the starter would just barely grind to turn the car over. Well, we're low on Fiat starter bushings. So I found, oh, this is something to fix, by the way. So I did rebush it, but I just found bushings, we'll call them, in a drawer full of shit that I used to make things. At least it allowed us to crank the engine over. So after we fought, oh, by the way, all this is done on the other side of the engine and the delightful trunk lid.
Yeah, let's see.
Let's show the audience how smart this is. Because, you know, if a person's back isn't bad enough, you should have to lean over this frail little engine cover to reach and get back to the starter that's over here where, you know, like Helen Keller, she'd ace this, not me so much. And there's the, you know, heaven forbid that there would be, say, a starter solenoid when a simple cable would do. So you pull on the cable and that engages the starter, closes the switch. So as you pull the cable, it moves the gear drive into the ring gear, closes the switch, the starter turns over. This metal cable that you're pulling on is also right near the positive battery lead to the starter, so nothing bad can happen there ever, except that it can. So we now get the starter cranking, and after about 2 cranks, the cable breaks.
Oh.
And it falls down and shorts against the batteries. So then the starter cable, which is like a little ship in a bottle. There's a tunnel that goes down through the middle of the car. You can't get there from below. You can't get there from above. You just have to start by removing carpet and a bunch of stuff and maybe break the neighboring cable that operates the choke. That didn't actually happen, but I did stress about it a lot. And then finally, you get your starter cable to where it can work, and now we can crank on it, and now we can see that it still doesn't run. So a whole series of tests. The engine made a strange sound as we're cranking it over. It kind of sounded like a hole in a piston or whatever else. But what do we know about these things? Nothing. And it was criminal not to go through and check the distributor. And sure enough, we found one of the advance weights and springs in wrong and stuff, so it wasn't getting any advance, blah, blah, blah. But that obviously didn't happen while you were driving it around. Even so, we fixed it. And then on to a compression test. Pulling a spark plug, got the ignition timing corrected, not expecting that to fix it, and we were right. Continuing to dig at this point. Oh yeah, there was always a little bit of fuel, pooled around the carburetor, so we thought, well, you know, could it just be flooding? These spark plugs are awfully wet.
Yeah.
Took the carburetor off, apart, found the float needle kind of worn. Was it the problem? Probably not, but we put a new one in later anyway. Well, the first time I just fixed it with chucked it up in a drill like a portable lathe and cleaned it up and stuck it back together, which worked. But since we had to order parts later anyway,
yeah,
we got a float needle. So put the carburetor back together by the book. I don't know, it'll work or it won't. And now I'm digging so deep that it's like, well, let's just pull the rocker cover off as a cam timing check, something. I'm grasping at straws. And there's a little aluminum ring laying on the top of the head. I thought of it like as a casting part, and then I touched it and I was like, oh, this is a loose piece. And I picked it up and started looking at it, and it was a broken chunk. And I started looking closer. I'm like, oh, push rods are off the rockers, and the rocker pedestal had just physically broken.
Wow. Is that common?
Well, you know, I don't know these cars. But it seemed like such a weird problem in general. Actually, so when I called around to find the part, I was asking the guy, I was like, is this a common problem on these? Should I buy a dozen? By the way, excellent Fiat. Shout out to a guy named Chris Obert. I bought 2 of them just in case.
Okay.
But so finally when that stuff showed up, put it all back together, corrected it, adjusted the valves. That's actually when the starter cable broke, now that I think of it, because I was going to have my glory moment, and that's when the starter cable would snap, and I was like, I can't win!
Yeah.
Anyhow, I did not find a cause for the breakage.
Okay.
I'm imagining by looking at some of the other workmanship that maybe somebody at one time had removed the assembly and just was grabbing and pulling and twisted on it and broke one, but I don't know. I saw no cracks in the other one, but you do have a spare.
Is it a big job to replace now that you know? Okay.
No, of all your staggering bill, that fix, had I known what it was, would not have been very much. Yeah. Anyhow, so that's kind of the drama of the car leading up to now.
So Ted, you work on every bridge. I mean, we've got priceless Lotuses and E-Types and everything around here. And you work on weird cars like DSs and 2CVs. How does the little Fiat compare in engineering to the stuff you work on? Give me the PG version and then the R version.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I'm searching for the smart ass remark, right?
Yeah.
To be like actually straight about it, I can't speak to it because the things that I did that frustrated me were things that would have frustrated anybody and therefore were probably neglected for so many years that I just got stuck without a chair when the music stopped on every one of them.
Okay.
Or you got stuck.
I got stuck on it, yeah.
But honestly, I mean, like once I got it running, and like if you lived in Italy and you had a simple little affordable car that was also fun to drive, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I don't know these cars, but I have a feeling if I even tried a little bit, they'd probably be pretty fun and easy to fix if you had a garden of parts to help. And so I kind of want to make fun of it, and you handed me the shot, Tommy.
I did. I know. I was ready.
But I'm like, I don't know. It's kind of cool. Yeah, I can't really speak to it. And how many did they make? Like 2 billion?
Yes,
I don't know.
That's right. Yeah.
2 billion Italians can't be wrong. Oh wait, yes they can. They can almost exclusively be wrong. Yeah,
Well, here's a question.
I kind of like it.
Would you work on another one?
You're not thinking about buying another one, are you?
No. No. If
honestly, yes, but I would sure. So we have a Lancia Flavia here now, and it was here for kind of like your car, a simple little wiring fix.
Yeah.
And it also, even worse, it actually needs an engine.
So it's just like an Italian car
It's a
thing.
hard question to answer because, like, to be straight, like, right, all we have to sell really is time and expertise, right?
Yeah, right.
And if we're not experts, then we can't really sell the time.
Yeah, but you fixed it.
Well, I fixed it.
You fixed
and
it,
you're
Ted.
being punished accordingly, and my common sense kind of, if this were a common problem,
Yeah.
and if I were a Fiat guy, I would have gone right there.
Right.
But I don't know if it is, and I'm not. So,
Fair enough.
And we found a bunch of other stuff and fixed it, which is
Yeah.
great because I actually think you're going to like it better than you ever have.
Tommy, we usually don't use our Aluma trailer at night, but it's really fancy. First of all, Aluma, of course, means it's all aluminum. So this entire 24-foot deck trailer, which is pretty large, only weighs about 2,000 pounds overall. So it's lightweight. And look, I have runway lights.
Dude, this is awesome.
It's like I'm gonna be like an airport official. I'm gonna bring you up. Got it. Oh yes, yes. Stop. I think it's perfect.